Welcome back to the deep dive, where we try to cut through all the noise and get to the insights you can actually use. You ever feel like you're just drowning in information, but starving for real wisdom? What if there was a kind of a strategic shortcut, a blueprint maybe, for living a more grounded, more effective life? Well, today we're diving deep into a really fascinating source that promises just that. It's called Life Principles for Today from the book of Proverbs by Reuben Juma Onunga. Just the title itself sort of suggests this bridge, right, between ancient truths and, well, our crazy modern world.
Yeah, and what's truly compelling here is Onunga's background. He's an engineer, so he's not coming at Proverbs like a theologian, maybe.
Yeah.
It's more analytical precision. He understands foundations, structure, how systems work.
Okay.
He sees Proverbs not as just like abstract philosophy, but as a divine treasury of life-tested truth, almost like laws of physics for life.
Yeah.
Understand them, apply them, and you get predictable, solid outcomes. He boils it down to 10 core principles. It's basically an operating manual for living day to day.
An operating manual. I like that. So our mission today is to crack open that manual. We're going to pull out the most impactful stuff, give you those, aha moments you can use right away. We'll show you how this ancient advice can be like a compass for everything, your money, your relationships, the tough stuff. And hopefully we'll keep it engaging, maybe a few interesting stories in there too. So let's jump in. Where does Onunga start? What's the bedrock? He starts with something that honestly might make some of us pause a bit. The fear of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we hear fear, a lot of us think, dread, terror, something negative. But Onunga, with that engineer's mind, he totally reframes it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
How does he make that a practical starting point?
It's a really crucial distinction he makes. This fear isn't about like cowering in terror, no. It's more of a reverent awe.
Yeah.
A humble recognition that there's an ultimate authority, an order to things. From his engineering view, it's like respecting gravity. You don't fear gravity by being scared of it all the time, but you deeply respect its power when you build a bridge. Ignore it and, well, disaster. Proverbs 1.7 puts it perfectly. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So this respect for truth, for what's right, it anchors you. It brings clarity. You make decisions based on principle, not just what's popular right now. It's about building on solid ground.
And that comparison he makes between the wise and the fool, it's pretty stark. The wise person, they welcome instruction, they seek advice, they're mindful of consequences.
Yeah.
But the fool, as Onunga sees it, just resists correction, acts without thinking, almost like that engineer ignoring the calculations. It really makes you look at your own choices, doesn't it?
Exactly. Are you building on solid ground or just kind of hoping for the best?
Yeah.
And that flows right into the next thing. From that reverence for truth, Onunga talks about the power of words speaking life and truth. He points to Proverbs 18.21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. And wow, in our world today with instant everything, that hits hard.
Doesn't it just, it's not just face-to-face anymore, is it?
Not at all. It's the precision of our communication. Think about it from the engineering side again. One ambiguous instruction, it could lead to disaster.
That's a great analogy. Because a quick tweet, a rushed email, it can blow up so easily. The stakes feel really high. So what does this actually look like, say, in a conflict at home or maybe at work?
It means being, well, almost technically precise with our words, like calibrating an instrument. Onunga uses Proverbs 15.1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. This isn't just about being nice. It's strategic. It's about managing the system,
Like a circuit breaker. Yeah, I get that.
Exactly. A harsh word is like an overload. Boom. System down. But a gentle, thought-out response, it can de-escalate, keep things open. Our words are literally the building blocks or the wrecking balls for our relationships.
So it's about being deliberate,
Mm-hmm.
calibrating. I actually had that happen recently. Got this really angry email, and my first instinct was just fire back, right? But I stopped. Rewrote it like 3 times, sent something way more measured. And it totally diffused the whole thing.
Actually, it works.
It really does. And it reminds me, even silence can be powerful. Proverbs 17.28, even a fool is counted wise when he holds his peace. Sometimes saying nothing is the most precise thing.
Precisely. Our words are outputs, and they always reflect the heart's inputs. Which leads us nicely into Onunga's section on diligence versus laziness, the path to prosperity. He loves that image from Proverbs 6.6. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise. What an engineer sees there isn't just hard work, it's the compounding effect. Small, consistent inputs adding up over time.
Oh, I love that image of the ant. Especially today when everyone's looking for the quick fix, the shortcut. The
Yep.
and is just relentless consistency. It's not glamorous, is it?
Not at all. But think about structural integrity. A tiny crack? Ignored. It can bring the whole thing down eventually. Onunga argues it's the same in life. Small, steady efforts in your finances, learning a skill, even in relationships, they might seem small individually, but they layer up. They build immense strength and stability. And Proverbs 6, verses 10 and 11, paints the flip side. A little sleep, a little slumber, and poverty will come on you like a thief. It's not just about money either. It's missed opportunities, lost purpose. From engineers, success isn't built in sudden bursts. It's built layer by layer. Diligence.
And you mentioned it's not just about career or money. And Nunga talks about holistic prosperity, right?
Yeah.
So this diligence applies everywhere, like relationships, spiritual life, personal growth, health.
Absolutely everywhere. That holistic view is key to his whole framework. It's about building a stable, well-rounded life structure, not just being good at one thing. So if diligence is the fuel, what keeps us on the right path? What's the internal GPS? That brings us to his focus on integrity and honesty, cornerstones of character. Proverbs 11.3 says, "The integrity of the upright will guide them."
Okay, that sounds straightforward, but man, living with integrity, that can be tough. The world often seems to reward cutting corners or, your truth, my truth. How does Onunga suggest we keep that internal compass working when the pressure's on?
Well, from the perspective of Proverbs, which he's analyzing, truth isn't really subjective. He presents it as objective, a moral and spiritual constant. Think of it like those laws of physics again. An engineer trusts them because they're reliable, unchanging. For Onunga, this kind of truth acts as that unshakable internal guide, even when everything outside is shouting something different. He stresses that choosing integrity, even when it costs you something, creates this deep alignment with how things are actually meant to work. Proverbs 12.22 even says, God delights in trustworthy people.
So it's not just about avoiding getting caught.
Not at all. It's about being aligned with something fundamental. It builds trust within yourself and with others, systemic trust. And he suggests this has a ripple effect, even across generations.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Proverbs 20.7, "The righteous man walks in his integrity, his children are blessed after him." It implies this legacy of trust, a peace of conscience that, honestly, no amount of dishonest gain can buy. An engineer knows a structure built with integrity stands the test of time. Same principle.
That makes sense. Building something lasting. And that naturally leads to how we handle our resources, doesn't it? Which brings us to financial wisdom, stewardship, and generosity. He talks about honoring God with your wealth. Not the leftovers, but the first fruits. The first and the best. Proverbs 3.9-10. That feels really countercultural today.
It's a huge mindset shift, absolutely. Onunga pushes us from thinking like owners to thinking like managers or stewards. As an engineer, he's thinking optimal allocation, sustainability, long-term return on investment. He warns strongly against dishonest gain. Proverbs 13.11 says that kind of money dwindles away. Like using faulty materials, the structure won't last. And he hits hard on debt, too, quoting Proverbs 22.7, "The borrower's servant to the lender." That's not just financial advice. It's a structural warning. Don't put your system at risk.
Right. Don't compromise the integrity of your financial structure. So true wealth isn't just stacking cash. It's how wisely you manage it and how generously you share it. He mentions that paradox, Proverbs 11.24.
The paradox of generosity, yeah. One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. It kind of defies standard economics, doesn't it? But Onunga presents it as another foundational principle. It's about seeing everything as a resource to be managed wisely, and generosity becomes this act of trust in the underlying system. It leads to a deeper kind of prosperity.
And that idea of stewardship, it applies to people too, right? Which brings us to relationships and friendships, choosing wisely. He says something pretty bold. There's no neutrality in relationships. People either pull you up or pull you down. He calls them spiritual exchanges.
It's a very analytical way to look at your social circle, almost like managing system inputs again. Proverbs 13.20 is blunt. "He who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm." From that engineering mindset, you design for best performance. You wouldn't deliberately put a faulty part in a critical system, would you? He argues our closest friends are constantly shaping us. You're either gaining wisdom or you're absorbing, well, foolishness.
Wow. Okay, so what does that mean practically? For you, listening right now.
Yeah.
It means actively looking for those friends who challenge you, who make you better. That iron sharpens iron thing from Proverbs 27.16, not just people who make you feel comfortable. And it also means maybe doing the hard work of figuring out who shouldn't be in that inner circle.
Exactly. And heeding the warnings, too. Proverbs 22.24-25, advises against getting too close to hot-tempered people, or you might learn their ways and get yourself ensnared. Onunga stresses setting clear boundaries. It's self-protection, like an engineer isolating a potential failure point to save the whole system.
That structural thinking is definitely a theme, and building strong systems goes beyond personal life, into how we influence others. Let's talk about leadership and influence serving with wisdom. Onunga really broadens the definition here, doesn't he? It's not just for CEOs.
No, not at all. He sees leadership almost like societal architecture, anyone guiding anything, a team, a family, even just your own life. Proverbs 29.2 says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice." And 16.12, "A throne is established by righteousness." He hammers home that real, lasting influence isn't about charisma or tactics. It's built on character, integrity. That's the foundation. It raises the question, what makes influence sustainable? For Onunga, it's leading with principle, seeking advice, admitting mistakes sometimes, stability, justice in the system.
And he mentioned self-control again for leaders, Proverbs 16.32. He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty. That's huge. Ruling your own spirit is more powerful than conquering a city. It points to servant leadership, trusting in something beyond just your own smarts, like Proverbs 3.56 suggests.
Right, that internal mastery is seen as more powerful than external force. A wise leader understands their own internal operating system, which actually leads perfectly into the next principle, managing anger and emotions, cultivating self-control. What's fascinating here is how Proverbs, through Onunga's lens, measures real strength by this inward mastery, not outward conquest. That verse you just quoted, 16.32, really drives it home.
This is so relevant. Daily frustrations, misunderstandings, pressure. We all feel anger. What's the wise response, according to Onunga?
He treats emotions like signals, data points in your internal system. Anger itself isn't necessarily bad, it's information telling you something. The key, he says, is the response. Proverbs 29.11 contrasts this. A fool gives full vent to his anger, but a wise man keeps himself under control. And circling back to words, Proverbs 15.1 again. A gentle answer turns away wrath. So Onunga stresses self-control isn't about crushing your emotions. It's about creating space, a buffer, an engineering buffer maybe, between the feeling and the reaction, making a conscious choice so your system doesn't overheat and can damage.
Less about suppression, more about strategic management. Which brings us to maybe the biggest one of all. Guarding the heart, the source of life. He quotes Proverbs 4.23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Wow. In our world, saturated with input, what does that even mean today?
This is where Onunga really hits on intentionality. He talks about the heart, like the central processing unit, the control panel for your whole life. So from that engineering view, it's not just about defense, it's about managing the inputs actively. Think about everything coming at us, news, social media, endless entertainment. Guarding, in Onunga's framework, means deliberately filtering, protecting your core from toxic stuff, negativity, and consciously fueling it truth. He links it back to Proverbs 3.56, trust in the Lord with all your heart, suggesting that ultimate trust is the best guard. It makes you ask, what are you letting shape your thoughts, your will, your spiritual core? What firewalls do you have up?
It's a call to really examine our internal architecture. And it's not just defense, right? It's also about healing. Proverbs 17.22. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Our emotional, spiritual health is the foundation.
Absolutely. The health of the core system determines everything else. Which brings us to the payoff, the final principle, the reward of wisdom, living a fulfilled life. Onunga sums up the benefit using Proverbs 3.1314. Blessed are those who find wisdom. She is more profitable than silver, yields better returns than gold. If you connect all the dots, the reward isn't just avoiding bad stuff. It's living an optimized life, a system that's stable, peaceful, fruitful, built to last.
So it's not just what you get, it's who you become. Achieving that holistic prosperity, valuing people, valuing peace, that's the ultimate ROI for living this way.
It's the optimal design. That's how his engineering mind sees it. When all these principles work together consistently, you're not just patching holes. You're building something resilient, integrated, that can handle life's storms and produce real, lasting value. True prosperity is holistic well-being, purpose, impact. And actually applying this knowledge is the key.
What a journey that was. This deep dive into Ing Reuben Juma Onunga's book, Life Principles for Today, from the book of Proverbs, it really drives home that this ancient wisdom isn't just, old news. It's a vital living guide for right now. And it's clear this isn't about being perfect overnight. It's a lifelong thing, right? Trying to align our daily lives with these foundational truths.
Absolutely. Onunga, with that practical engineer's mind, he just highlights so clearly how these principles, character, communication, relationships, money, self-control, they all interconnect to build a strong, meaningful life. He really shows that knowledge is good, but it's the application that transforms things. Understanding and doing.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope it's given you some fresh perspective, maybe some tangible ideas you can start using today. And as we wrap up, here's something to think about, straight from the source material Onunga uses. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. I know. So maybe ask yourself, what is one specific thing you will intentionally guard, or maybe cultivate, in your heart this week? Knowing the huge impact it has on literally every decision, every relationship, everything you hope for in your life. Something to chew on. Until next time.